What is going on, YouTube? So today I'm going to do the installation of a front strut tower brace from SpeedLogix. When I first showed this strut tower brace in February earlier this year, about 9 months ago. So I got a couple strut tower braces. I got the front and the rear strut tower brace. The brace they sent me initially was for a Challenger, not a Charger. And there are minor differences in the brace that made it extremely difficult to install on the Charger, and I didn't even know it was the wrong one until I saw some others installed on a Charger that have some of the differences. So you're actually going to get a 2-for-1 benefit here. I'm going to show you how to remove this one, and I'll show you how to install that one, and I will show you some of the differences between the two braces that caused me so much trouble. Alright, so a few tools you're going to need here. You're going to need a pry tool, first of all, because you got to take all of these pins out, all along the top there. This entire piece right here has to flip up and get out of the way so that you can get to all the components there. Obviously, you need to take this off. You need to take the supercharger fluid reservoir off. And then you ultimately going to take those bolts off down there that are holding the brace to the chassis. So the windshield wipers do have to come off as part of this, because you have to flip this up far enough to get at all the bolts behind there. So there's a little cap that you take off with a pry tool, and then that exposes the bolt underneath that allows you to take the wipers off. Okay, so here's what we got with the firewall cover lifted up. You can see the bolts here that have to come off. The bolts holding the windshield wiper motor have to come off. And you've got bolts over there also, one of which holds up the PCM. So you actually have to lift off the PCM bracket there. You don't have to actually disconnect the whole PCM, but you do have to get that bracket out of there. That's what secures it down to the frame, as well as these bolts here. This side is easy, other side's a pain in the ass because of the supercharger reservoir. This bar that goes all the way across is what's going to come out. So you got the two bolts there. There's similar ones on the other side. Okay, so I actually found this time around that you don't need to actually take the whole supercharger reservoir apart. There's enough play here where you can lift this up, bend it back enough, and slide this underneath, which is a huge plus, because when I first put that brace on, I took this all apart and the fluid went everywhere, and plus I didn't have any replacement fluid to put back in there, so I had to go buy supercharger fluid to put in there. So it's really really important to know that you can just tilt that up enough to get the brace underneath there and secured. Let's talk about what's different between the Charger brace and the Challenger brace. The first thing, which is relatively minor from an installation standpoint, is that the Charger brace has an extra set of holes right there. They have them on the top and they have them right there. The Challenger brace does not have those. Only the Charger brace has those. And that's important because the Charger has this extra sleeve here, and these rivets have to go into the brace. So when I had the Challenger brace on here, this thing was pretty much just hanging there because there were no holes for it to go into. The second thing, and the really important thing that really gave me a hard time, is that this bracket holds up the windshield wiper motor. So this little rubber sleeve fits on there, and this slot right there slides in. There's no bolt holding that on. It just slides in and holds up the windshield wiper motor. Now the difference between the Charger and the Challenger is that on the Challenger brace it is much shorter. So when I put this on, I couldn't get the windshield wiper motor attached back again correctly. I actually had to go to the store and buy some extra brackets to extend that down far enough to reach the motor. So here you can see what the stock brace looks like and how long that is to reach down, and this one is just a full 2 inches shorter. Other than that, they are identical. They both have holes along the top here. Charger has an extra set of holes in the back to mount that firewall sleeve. And then the big deal is this brace. It's longer for the Charger than it is for the Challenger. So let's get this baby installed. Okay, so I got the new brace on. A couple things before I fully bolt this down. This is not an exact fit. It is really a pain in the butt to get this side to line up with that side and this to line up, and it would be a lot easier to have two people to do this, but ultimately I did get it on. Secondly, even though they did give me the right bracket, it was nowhere near being the right angle or pitch to get close to that thing. I actually had to bend the bracket down and also take a pair of pliers and bend it this way, because the sleeve is actually at an angle. It's not straight with the car, it's at an angle like that. You can see how the stock one is angled out like that. Well, the brace that they gave me was not angled properly to fit that, so just be aware of that, that's not going to be an exact fit, and you're going to have to do some bending to get that to go over the sleeve correctly. You are going to have to cut. You see this sleeve right here? That is in the way of these two bars. Doesn't happen over there, but on this side, definitely in the way. I ended up cutting out this whole piece right here. It just didn't really look right. I thought about cutting this whole thing here so that it kind of matched the other side, but I didn't want this flapping around down there, so because there's a sleeve underneath there. Okay, so there's the finished product. Got it mounted in there. So some of you might be wondering what the driving experience was like after putting the strut tower brace on. I put the rear brace on first, and I just noticed a huge difference in the rear sway of the car during sharp turns with that rear strut tower brace. When I put the front strut tower brace on, it does seem to be tighter around corners. There doesn't seem to be as much oversteer or understeer, but if I had to choose between one or the other, if I could only choose one, I would definitely get the rear strut tower brace. It just made such a difference in the feel of the car.